How's it going, everybody? Avatar X here, bringing you a video on the Hunter Ranger. First thing I want to talk to you guys about is stats. First stat we're going to worry about is dex. We're just going to max out dex across the board because we're looking for that damage bonus. Alright. The second stat we're going to talk about is wisdom. We need the crit chance and control bonus. The control bonus might be as important, if not more important, than that crit chance, and we'll talk about why here in a second. I wanted to point out that I did go with the Storm Warden spec as opposed to Pathfinder because they made some serious changes in Mod 10 that I think make it worth it. But first we're going to talk about feats. Going on our feats, we're going 3 out of 5 for predatory action, trying to get those dailies to give us more bang for our buck. Crit, that's a no-brainer. Toughness, a lot of people want to make a glass cannon and save those points for something else. Personally, I think if you're not alive, you're not doing damage, so I need extra hit points. Then we're going to go with Agile Combatant. After switching stances, we deal 3% more damage for 5 seconds. Here's the thing. You're always going to have that up because you're going to switch stances every 5 seconds, if not more often. And we'll see why here in a second. Then we're going on to Endless Assault. Again, just trying to get our damage up with the encounters. You're going to be doing back-to-back encounters, so you want that maxed out. The next thing we have not picked is your at-will damage increased. And that's because you almost never use your at-wills. Due to the nature of the Trapper spec, you're constantly changing stances, which is constantly refreshing your encounters, which means you have non-stop encounters for the most part. What we did pick instead is turning dexterity into more damage. That's why we picked dex. And then I have a few points into our action point gain because we had to put them somewhere, and more dailies are better. However, if you find yourself getting a lot of action point gain, you could put those points somewhere else, possibly getting yourself some more deflect for more survivability. That's up to you. So the first thing we picked down in the Trapper spec, which while they have made archery viable, I haven't actually tried the combat spec, but while archery is viable, Trapper still does significantly more damage. So we're going with the changing stances make you move faster. This allows you to get in and out of the fight quickly. If you stay in the fight too long, you're dead. We picked that over getting more AP because, quite frankly, I get AP at a pretty decent rate. Then we picked melee encounters cause your ranged encounters to do more damage and vice versa. Like I said, we're constantly switching stances, so this is just going to up our damage by 10%. The rest of them down the line are all picked. The only thing you don't pick are these two here. Quite frankly, we don't really use Cold Steel Hurricane that often, so that doesn't make much sense. The rest of these are all going to increase your control via grasping roots, both strong and weak, and then it's going to increase the damage that those cause. So that's where we go back to our control bonus. The longer they're controlled, the more damage you're doing. So now let's talk about powers. Alright, first things first, our at-wills. The two at-wills I went with were Electric Shot. Like I said, we went ahead with Storm Warden, which we'll talk about why when we get over to the, what are these things called? Our class features. And then I went with Aim Strike. We have Aim Shot, which they actually made viable with a shorter cooldown. However, we really pick it up for the Aim Strike because it puts a dot on our guy, which can be a world of difference if you got the stats right. Well, really we'll talk about that. So that moves us into the encounters. So while right now I have Fox Cunning on my Q, which is my first attack, if you have a good group where your tank is really keeping you guys safe, you're going to want to put that Gushing Wound and a Long Strider Shot. If you don't know why you want Long Strider Shot, you need to go over to, I'm going to butcher this name, T. Swanternme. I'll put it in the description below. He's got a great video on how his PvE Trapper spec is laid out, and it really relies on this Long Strider Shot. It's amazing. He does things that I can't do. However, just because I can't match his playstyle doesn't mean I can't use some of his stuff. So the Long Strider Shot will buff your entire group, and that Gushing Wound will allow anyone who puts a dot on it to do significantly more damage. Right now I'm running Fox Cunning and Fox Shift because that increases my survivability as well as the entire group and allows me to get in and out of the fight a lot quicker. The other two things we're going to always have up is your Constricting Arrow and your Cordon of Arrows. Those are going to put your greater and weak Grasping Roots on. They're going to keep them on, and they're going to do a ton of damage. Now for our class features, we're always going to have Aspect of the Serpent on. That is a no-brainer. That's going to increase our damage to everybody. Now, as far as my secondary one, I kind of swap around depending on the fight. Most of the time, I keep Twin Blade Storm on. This is why I picked the Storm Warden, because anytime you hit 2 or more enemies, which is every time you hit an enemy, you do an additional 4% damage, which is really nice. Now, when I switch over to a single target, let's say on Orcus or something, I might go ahead and get that Seeker's Vengeance and get around behind him for 10% more damage. That's nice. The trick to this ability is you have to be directly behind him. You can't be at any type of angle, you have to be directly behind him. Which, if you're fighting a dragon, you might as well just take this ability off, because if you're behind a dragon, you're getting raffle stomped by a tail. So, don't even bother with that. Other than that, the rest of them, Crushing Roots, that kind of stuff's for PvP. And not usually as useful. Aspect to the Pack, I guess you can put that on there for the combat advantage. It's nice if you have a group that is a little bit lower gear score and needs a little bit more combat advantage. Okay, so boons. It's a pretty self-explanatory selection. Okay, I want crit and movements. I picked that over power and movement because I'm trying to build up a high crit build. I want all of those numbers that pop up when I'm hitting everybody to be big numbers. Here we got Lifesteal over Regeneration. Regeneration is completely worthless in this game, and I don't know why anybody picks it up. If somebody knows why Regeneration might be worth something, go ahead and put it in the notes below, but I haven't found a good use for it. Then we're going to get the extra armor pin, or resistance ignored, which is actually better than armor pin because it doesn't we don't have to get 500, it just gives us the percentage. Then I went ahead and picked up damage done over damage taken. So here, preferably, we're not getting hit, so this isn't going to do us any good. And then I like that Rampaging Madness. 400 power, or 4,000 power, and lifesteal is always nice. Looks like I went down to, okay. So, Sharndar, all the way across the bottom on here. Here, we decided to pick up power over defense. That's a no-brainer. Crit, again, like I said, we want crit. We don't need deflect. Here we picked up action points. This is part of the reason why I didn't pick up action points in the tree, because we can get it there. This increases our hit points. Again, not trying to be a glass cannon, but it made sense to pick up those action points and get more dailies, more damage. And then here, obviously we want to do more damage as opposed to healing ourselves, because we're just trying to wreck stuff. I can't remember who said it. I was watching a video the other day. They said that the Elvish Fury is glitched and doesn't work like the tooltip says. I haven't tested it, but if anyone has tested it, has a video of it or some documentation showing that, I'd love to see that. Going down Icewind Dale, getting that combat advantage over AoE resist. Although AoE resist would probably be pretty nice when you start getting into like Orcus, because virtually everything he does is an AoE. Stamina gain, that allows us to move around a little bit more as opposed to incoming heals. That's ranged, I never get heals anyways. Crit severity, this goes back to what we're picking up on the crit, over recovery. Recovery's nice because it'll make your daily come up a little bit faster, but the bottom line is we don't need it for our encounters because we're shifting between our stances so quick, our encounters are coming up virtually non-stop. And then of course we're trying to get more power, more damage. Here I went with chance to get healed, chance when healed to do additional damage. So this also procs with lifesteal. So every time you get lifesteal, you're going to proc that and get more damage out. Here we picked up Primary Might, again, picking up that power. Picked that over defense, we don't need defense. Over lifesteal, I decided to go with crit. I do like lifesteal, but crit takes priority. Regeneration, again, completely worthless as far as I'm concerned. More combat advantage. control effects now have 5% shorter durations. Here's the bottom line. You're not going to be doing damage if you spend so much time on your back. And if you guys hate this like knockdown like I do, you know what I'm talking about. And then the last one, I decided to go with 10% damage versus demons. It might be tempting to just automatically kill a demon, but with 0 to 5%, I feel like it's just not going to happen, especially if you have my luck. I don't care if they're doing a lot of damage to me. And control bonus versus demons, yeah, sure, that might be nice in, let's say, a prophecy run, but if you're running in against Orcish, you're not controlling them anyways, so let's go ahead and pick up that extra 10% of damage. I have not finished this. It is what it is. Okay, so again, we're going to go with power over hit points. Deflect's not that important. We're picking up that crit, picking up that armor pin. Although, now that I'm kind of high on armor, well, I don't need defense, so I'm still going to go with the armor pin. I'm a little over on my armor pin right now, just because of gear stats moving around. Here I picked up lifesteal over the regen, because again, the regen's worthless. When we get down to the end, I haven't looked at it too much. I really think I'm going to pick up Dragon's Fury, though, because I really want to get that crit up a little bit more. But I might end up doing the control bonus, because again, like I said, the more control we have, the more damage we're going to be doing. Alright, Maze Engine. Lifesteal Severity over incoming healing. I don't get a lot of incoming healing, like I said, so Lifesteal kind of keeps me alive. Combat Advantage over shorter durations. So here's the thing. We talked about shorter durations, and it would be nice to pick that up for that 10%, but I got to get that Lifesteal up. This way, or sorry, Combat Advantage. This way I can actually do the damage. And then here we're going to get more action points. Like I said, that's why we didn't pick it up in the tree. Stam regen's 10% faster. I don't really have a problem with stamina. If you find yourself kind of stuck in fights, you might want to pick that up. And the last one is Baphomet's Might. This thing procs all the time, increasing your crit by 2,000. So that is amazing. Alright, last one, Elemental Evil. Obviously picked power over defense. Obviously picked lifesteal over the regen, because like we said, the regen's completely worthless. I do like that recovery, but instead we decided to go with more crit because, you know, crit's amazing. Alright, so this one, when taking damage, unfortunately I'd rather not take damage, I get healed up to 24k. That's nice, but what we really picked this up for was the after the effect ends, crit strike increases by 1,000, which is nice. We have this other one here that picks up recovery. I did it over my pally, but that's another story. The rest of these is not really too useful as far as I'm concerned. I really wanted that crit, so that's why we went with that one. Companions, my companions kind of suck. But what I do want to talk about is with the Paranoid Delusion. If you notice, increased damage to disabled, held, or prone targets. That includes your roots. Also, you can pick this little guy up in the Zen Market, as well as pick him up on the auction house. Increased damage against rooted targets by 3%. Obviously, if you have the money to upgrade them, it's going to increase that amount and do more for you. The rest of my pets are kind of garbage, just trying to get my crit up some more. This guy puts a nice little poison on there, and this does some more crit. It is what it is. Alright, moving over to my mounts here. I need to rework these, but I kind of got them all over the place. I got Gladiator's Guile because, God bless, I'm really trying to keep up with the Great Weapons Fighters as they fly through these places. Vampire's Thirst, again, like I said, lifesteal really keeps me alive. Crit, put that dot on them. Again, if we're critting a lot, we should be putting a lot of dots on them, which is why I got 2 of those. And the last one I have here is Champion Struggle, which reduces, or when reduced to 50%, I get heal over time. So if I'm getting the break speed off me, I can go ahead and pick up some more hit points. It happens. Alright, so what does that look like? So when we're going, so when we're actually getting into the fight, let's go in here. So you can see, virtually non-stop, my abilities are cooldown. Now on the flip side of that, we talked about the Longstrider Strike. So the approach to this, hold on, gotta wait for this to cool down. The problem with this is you have to get out of the fight in order to use this. It has a minimum range. So if you're too close, it won't work. So you can see that Longstrider pop up, gives everyone a nice little bonus. But see, the trick is you got to get in, you got to get out. I think I was a little too close there. I didn't see it proc. The good news is it'll put a speed bonus on you, so that's nice. See, you got to get out. Now, if you're smart, you'll aim down farther at the target down the way, or if you're in a fight, you can aim at the next, or aim at a different group to try to get those numbers up. And that's about it. I guess the big changes with the spec is, for Mod 10, is they made a lot of really nice changes to the cooldown times on the abilities, especially the ranged abilities, as well as the damage they do, in an effort to make archery more viable. What they really did is just increase the damage of Trapper. I hope that's helpful for you guys. I'm going to be posting another video about Paladins and where I've gone through for there. I just want to give a shout out to the people. This is by no means my spec alone. I definitely went off, like we already talked about the I always mess this name up, Swantimi, I'm going to say, for that Longstrider step. Also want to give a shout out to Captain Spicy Pants as well as SNKLZ for their various builds that have been really, really helpful. Thanks, guys. I hope this is helpful for you guys.